welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday, and previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., alongside Kaliko Yachts.
Hey man, we get into it. It's the end of the year, but it feels like wrestling is on a full clip.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be talking all about that. But first, we gotta talk about ourselves, and that is, our interviews came out this last Tuesday with Fabio Makisig, our first interview from the Philippines. A fantastic interview, fantastic human being, fantastic conversation, and then Paradox on the east coast of America. Fantastic interview we had with him. Another fantastic human being. Cannot recommend those interviews enough. Go into the archives to check them out if you haven't already. That brings us to this upcoming Tuesday. We have Nick Luukkonen from. Well, he's not from Finland, but he currently resides in Finland, a part of our friends at Slam Wrestle. We talk about that, his current issues and problems with Dylan Broder and Arthur Arthur, Cosmo the kid-friendly clown. We talk about Aussie football. We talk about his tattoos and a hell of a lot more. A lot of interesting, fun content in that one to see to least. And then on the 18th, we have Shamil, our second ever interview from the country of Russia, Mother Russia. And we're being joined by Andre again as the special guest translator. We talk about formerly his tag team with Khan, his eventual betrayal, his time as the hardcore champion of Russia, his love of CCW, his tattoos, going vegan, and the Carnival of Fire. So lots of interesting things to unpack in that interview this upcoming Wednesday. Then on Thursday the 26th, the day after Christmas, not going to have an interview on Christmas, day after Boxing Day for
The Canadian.
yes. We have John Scrutch on the 31st. We have Ramona, and on January 1st, we have Merrick Brave. And a lot more interviews to come. Check out our social media at Wrestling with E, on X, Reddit, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Obviously, this will be the last episode recorded of the year, so you definitely want to keep on our social media because we update it regularly. Alright, I think we're done putting ourselves over. No, Kaliko?
I mean, it's a never-ending job to put ourselves over.
And somebody that didn't need to put themselves over actually got put down a bit. Will be maybe a great day for them. But it was a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. And one of the news articles to come out this week was that Toni Storm has returned to AEW programming. But not the Toni Storm we're used to. She's no longer timeless, but she went back to
OG.
OG? I was gonna say like Punk Princess? Does that sound right?
Something
Indie
like
metal?
that. Punk Princess.
Indie metal girl? Well, anyway, she dropped Timeless Tony Storm. She's back.
She dropped the Timeless and went back to what's that? Not Mae Young. Was it the Mae Young Classic?
Um, I mean, yeah, I would say the second year Mae Young Classic. The first year the
Yes.
Mae Young Classic, she had that little wheeled hat on.
Yeah, she went second year, second version.
Yeah,
Kind of like Toni Storm version too.
I I low key like that she went back to the Rock version or OG version Tony Storm. You know, there's only so much you can do with a character like Timeless and have it be interesting from week to week. I kind of feel like that version of Tony Storm kind of presented itself more as a world champion than this version. So you kind of give the people a breather, so to speak, and when she does bring it back, the people will pop, you know, legendarily for her when she does bring it back. Because I don't see this being, you know, a forever thing. You know what I mean?
I could see you not seeing it being maybe I think my theory is that Mariah May broke Toni Storm. Timeless Toni.
One might say she fits Tony Storm because, I mean, not everybody thinks that they're a 1920s actress. I mean, this is the Tony.
Well, that is
This is normal sane Tony Storm.
broke her back to normal, gave her the reset default.
Correct. Factory reset.
Factory reset Toni Storm. Got it. I mean that makes sense. I mean yeah, that makes sense. She's been broke, but it's gonna be interesting to see where it goes because that Timeless Toni Storm didn't. She was willing to do whatever it took, but to keep an image. So this one is going to be interesting to see how she maneuvers it, or whether even she even goes back after her IMA. So it will be interesting with the backstabber thing. So.
Well, I mean, Mariah May unfortunately has been drowning as women's champion. You know, the only things keeping her up is Mina at this point, because that history is already there. So, you know, a Toni Storm rivalry might be the shot in the arm that her title reign kind of needs at this point.
You can make that argument. I just think it's that's the thing though with when it comes to AEW, because it's like everybody wants them to get the title, and when they get it, kind of feels like that they peaked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't.
And
it's not about, you know, it's about what you do with the title, and it's kind of whenever somebody wins a title, it's like, what now? Like, they don't think far enough into the future to think, okay, well, once they win it, what are they going to do with it? You know what I mean?
yeah, true. But that's a AEW thing. It's kind of like when Joe had it, when prime example, MJF had it, then Joe had it, then Swerve had it, but Swerve didn't have it that long. Then they gave it to Brian just to give it to him, and then Moxley gets it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, what the hell are you doing with it? I mean, what's the point of doing all that? Granted, Toni could only do so much as champion, so she needed to get. Eventually, it was going to happen, and it was just a matter of who was going to do it. And considering that it was Mariah May, everybody was happy with it. But the problem is that taking it for someone who made the title bigger than what it was and not giving them that peg to start with is hard.
Right.
Hard. Ask Cody.
Right.
I mean, Cody's doing a good job, but the problem is that the shoe that he was filling was, you know.
Give him another 2 years, he'll be fine. Um, so keeping up on AEW news, and I did want to bring this up, was Ray Phoenix kind of acting like a prisoner of war at this point. People know that he had injury time tacked on to his contract because obviously he was injured. They don't want him to go to WWE. Penta already is almost but confirmed to going to WWE, just waiting for his brother to sign a contract. And if you've been on Ray Phoenix's Twitter as of late, like I said, he's kind of acting like he's a prisoner of war at this point. Like they're not, treating him well. He needed a doctor, and they were not responsive of giving him one that was appropriate for his situation. It does seem like he's low-key trying to get fired, which, I mean, obviously makes sense, but what are your thoughts on everything that's going on with Ray Phoenix right now?
I mean, if this was WWE doing that, people would be pissed, to say the least, right?
Right.
So there's your point. There's my answer.
But I mean, the only reason we're not talking about it because AEW doesn't have as many eyes on them as WWE. And they're not a publicly traded company. They're traded by a kid that likes playing with toys and talking to Dave Meltzer. But I digress.
But I mean, it's just sad. It's rather unfortunate is the better word I'm looking for, because kind of thinks that a person would, you know what I mean? If that a person feels that stuck.
Yeah. Do you find it maybe odd or interesting that AEW doesn't fire a lot of people or release a lot of people, but the people that have been released or the people that have been fired, it's been low-key ugly every single time. Like it wasn't an amicable, release.
Like an amicable, yeah, it wasn't, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, case in point, CM Punk. Eden Page had problems with the company right before he left. Brian Pillman Jr. And, obviously we're seeing Ricky Starks have the same problem as we speak. So, and I mean, Cody was literally made the company. And, he's not speaking about it publicly, but, he's made it pretty clear that the way that he split was not, on good terms with the company.
Ideal, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's interesting to me because I go back to what Effie said, maybe about a week ago, I'd say. He made the comment that the only thing Tony Khan had to do as a boss, that he's ever done as a boss, was fire CM Punk. and that's why it was so emotionally draining for him.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, it's one of those things, man. It's just that you got a guy who's running it, not used to run. Because here's the thing, he's used to running it via as an NFL team, and running it as an NFL team, the business practices are way different. To me, I mean, that's what I get from it. So I mean,
Well,
I don't think
yeah,
I don't think it's is what's the word I'm looking for? It's not as advantageous. Um, so you know,
no, I gotcha. So, going from, people coming back, people trying to leave, to somebody that's low key just making a return to pro wrestling, Tessa Blanchard. Don't remember the last time we talked about her.
oh
Um,
gosh, I love Tessa Blanchard.
but
It's a,
they more or less have confirmed that she's re-signed with Impact Wrestling TNA, and that she will be coming back in the immediate future. Um, I believe the show in Missouri. I want to say. Um, Obviously, this is kind of comes with some skepticism because she was, dubbed a racist and a bully by the locker room, specifically the TNA locker room, where she once again did not leave on feelings,
amicable terms,
amicable
yeah.
terms with TNA. She literally she didn't drop the title. She forfeited the title that she was supposed to defend at Slammiversary. She did not appear at the event, and obviously the title changed hands. So that was like what, 4 years?
4 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. I feel like this is
Feels
just
like
a
it's.
recipe for disaster, but and there is more to the story. But with all the information I just gave you, what are your thoughts?
I mean, but it's a new leadership, new ownership, new leadership, roughly new roster.
Um, kinda. I mean,
I mean, there's a couple holdovers, but for the most part, I mean, who would be her biggest critic there that is no longer there? I mean, maybe Jordan and Grace.
and you would be correct on that. Um, they said, um, they said it was reported that she's supposed to feud with Jordan before um when she comes in because Jordan is actually on her way out. She's expected to sign with NXT. Um,
hmm
and they want her to feud with her, put her over as she, leaves the company. And Jordan has been a very vocal about her dismay for doing the job for Tessa Blanchard or working with her at all. Keep in mind this is all rumor and innuendo. You know, we take this all with a grain of salt. I'd say we don't know if any of this has any weight to it as well.
Any legs.
Right.
hmm I
So,
mean,
yep. What was you gonna say?
it's, 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 it's dicey. I mean, until to me, I met Tessa after all that went down, and I mean, from what the vibe that I got from her, because she did a LAX fan and I can't say it's for sure, so I'm not gonna sit up here and say, oh God, That is the definite answer of, how Blah Blah did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I can only take from what they show me when I see them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and from what I've seen of her, it wasn't the how can I say it? The pleasantries exchange was very good, very beneficial. The biggest key, and I guess the biggest thing people are probably gonna want to look for is that, did she learn the lesson, right?
Right.
Or did she make any behavioral changes to atone for this set? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the only basis you can really look at it from, because the when it comes to allegations of like racism, I take it as serious as anyone. And I also believe if people are coming with receipts, I'm all for it. He said, she said, I mean, it's hard to go from that, right?
Right.
Uh, but from what I've seen of her when I met her, she seemed pleasant. And I'm a black guy, so newsflash, people, I'm black.
I hadn't
So
noticed.
from the gauge that I got from her was very friendly. We had to chop it up for a bit, so I'm not gonna sit up here and just write her off like that
Right.
as of yet. But and I can also keep my eyes keen on, tendencies if it tends to present themselves.
You know, when she left TNA the first time, she was on top. And I'm not saying on top of the women's division. She was on top of the company.
Yeah, she was the company.
Yeah, she was
She
the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Not the women's world champion, the men's world heavyweight champion. So,
the actual, well, it wasn't a men's or a heavyweight champion. They just called it a heavyweight champion.
right. But, for context. So,
Yeah, shit.
When you have the whole company behind you like that, and you're low key essentially the face of the company, it's hard. I'd say it's hard not to get an ego, or not to, feel that you're maybe a little bit more important than you actually are. Obviously that was, she had a fall from grace, to put it nicely, and maybe she learned from that. So I do kind of feel like low key this is a CM Punk situation where, she really has to mind her P's and Q's and walk on eggshells until she could really prove that, what she who she was is not who she is right now. I'd say.
I mean, kind of like not letting her ego get too big.
Right.
I
mean, we'll see what happens
reasonable.
from there
I mean,
on.
that's reasonable. Yeah, that's reasonable. I'm not gonna.
I mean, hopefully, the whole whatever happened with her, was just, you know, a contained, little ego trip that happened, and now she's learned from her mistakes. She's, how do you say it? She's turned to God now, and
Atonement.
yeah,
She did join our. I know she like more military now. That's ours. So yeah, I mean, a lot of things changed.
yeah, but unfortunately, the the wrestling internet community, and especially the women's locker room, cannot be as forgiving. So, even if she does, do a 360, it doesn't necessarily mean that, she's going to be accepted. It's just a matter of how she deals with that. You know what I mean?
Man, please. I mean, if I've seen locker rooms where it's worse, and that not necessarily like NBA locker room or not, or wrestling locker room or NFL wrestling. There was a guy who was on the Philadelphia Eagles who got caught on camera saying it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And he went right back to practice and did what the hell he needed to do. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they can, I think they'll hold a grudge, but I don't think the grudge is going to be that egregious. Right? I think they'll have one eye open. The question is, what is her position when she gets in there? Because I can make an argument when she walks through the door, she has a stake to possibly be the leader of the locker. On the women's side, anyway.
I don't think the women will accept her as the leader at this point.
They won't acknowledge her.
No, they will not acknowledge her.
How dare you?
Somebody you kind of have to acknowledge at this point is DIY. Last week on SmackDown, they won the tag team championships off the Motor City Machine Guns, while also turning heel in the process. Low-key, I kind of feel like the SmackDown tag team championships, they're basically playing hot potato with them, while you never see the Raw tag team championships at all. I do feel like maybe turning DIY will help them. You know, Ciampa was a better heel, and Johnny Gargano was low-key a great heel that you just liked. But, you know, the way. But, how do you feel about these constant flip-flopping of the titles? Let's start there.
In the sense of the storyline, it made sense. Because DIY kind of got the shaft. When Fatu hit the killer combo on him, that was the reset anyway. I'm just keeping it a buck at this point. So, I mean, you gotta, that killer, I mean, so to me, DIY turning heel, because I think the ratio of face to heels over there was way out of proportion. I mean, the only heel tag team you really had that actually had threat was the Bloodline.
I mean, you do have
Waller and Theory, A-Town Under or whatever.
Pretty deadly, but they're more concerned about making a musical than actually wrestling at this point. So.
Yeah, but they're more comedic, and they're not even really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not doing anything right now.
Right. So that's the killer with them.
Right.
So I mean, let DIY turn heel. I think they operate better as heels anyway. And the one thing we never got to see is a heel DIY.
That's very true. We saw Johnny Gargano heel, we saw Tommaso Ciampa heel, but never in the same breath.
Right. Like it's always been flip-flopped.
Right.
Like Ciampa was heel, Gargano face, Ciampa face, Gargano heel, and they've never really been on that. And I think they could be the tag team heel because based on their size, they're small enough to where people can actually feel like they're beatable.
Right.
Which helps them when they cheat because it gives them the psychological. The crowd is the psychological with the only reason you win is because you cheat. which gives them more hate. So hey, it's a win-win.
Definitely. We should. I'll give them the benefit of a doubt. Let's see what they do with it.
I mean, give them the benefit of the doubt because honestly, they, with the bloodline out the picture, I mean, the profits are slowly low-key heelish. So their reign, they have a path for a reign.
You know, this
It's
kind
there. It's there.
You know, this is kind of where I feel. You know, obviously on Raw, um, Balor and DJ are the tag team champions. They have yet to defend those titles since winning them. Um, just have one tag team championships. Like, low key, both on Raw and SmackDown, they don't have a lot of tag teams to rotate. You know, okay, well, they have to beat these guys, but then they'll beat these guys too, and these guys. If there's 4 tag teams on each show, then you only have, what, like, you can only win 3 tag team title matches, and then somebody else, and then you just recycle the process. But,
Well, they have a tag team title. They have a tag team epidemic in the sense that they don't put emphasis on it. A tag team emphasis epidemic. There it is.
right.
And that's not just with, I mean, that's all the tag teams, not just that one.
So, if you have one tag team championships that go to Raw and SmackDown, then those three matches that you could have, you know, recycled with those 3 other tag teams magically becomes 7. And it will be more spread out because it's going to go from month to month rather than, you know, week to week. So you do have more room to breed and maybe, you know, build up another tag team in that time on another brand while they're on like, if they're on SmackDown, you know, you're building a tag team on Raw, so when they come back to Raw, you have, you know, a viable tag team, you know, ready to come after them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean. It's just I just think that they don't put an emphasis on tag teams like they used to. And that to me is their problem. To me, sometimes I get the feeling that they don't really care, right? And you don't want to make it seem like that they don't care, but their actions are kind of leading to that, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And
Awesome Truth only held the tag team champ. They won the tag team championships, and you never saw them after that.
right. But that's no fault of their own, right? And that's where it kind of gets them, right?
Right.
And I don't know. I think the last time they actually cared about the tag team titles was when the Usos had it. But I think that the problem with it was when they did the Usos thing, and I love the Usos, but when they gave them all the tag team belts, it held everybody. That kind of stagnated the tag team championship, the championships, right? Because with Roman, even with Roman, what they did was they created a new belt. And even though the Usos had the tags, and when Sami Zayn and Owens got it, and the Priest and them got it. They never really distinguished to separate them. They should have just fused them and created a whole new set.
Yeah, that goes to Raw and SmackDown.
No, one that goes to Raw and one that goes to SmackDown. I think because it's, and the only reason I say they shouldn't do that because if the women's tag is showing you that they don't do it well, so what makes you think they're going to do it well with the men's?
Because they low-key did do it well with the men. You know, Sammy, well, obviously the Usos, they were on every show with Roman. So, I mean, it was what it was, you know. But, you know, Sammy and Kevin did it low-key well. You know, they flip-flopped, and it was okay.
Well, they flip-flopped, but the problem was it was two singles as a tag team. And that's my problem. It wasn't a legit tag team.
I mean, even Priest and Balor, when they were tag team champions, they didn't do it as often, and you did know when they were on Raw, you knew that they were Raw superstars, but they did have their matches on SmackDown for those titles as well. So, I mean, it wasn't like they did not do it. They were able to do it well. It's just, you know, making room for it. You know, the problem with the women is that they don't have women tag teams to begin with. It's literally just putting two girls together and calling them a tag team.
Yeah, other than Isla, Dawn, and Fry. Well, I would say this. Kairi Sane and Asuka was a good one. The Pirate Princesses.
Yeah, the Kabuki Warriors.
Or the Kabuki Warriors. The Kabuki East, if you will. I mean, they had it. They just, for whatever reason, and the thing is that they got a gang of singles wrestlers, and these secondary titles will keep them busy. So now you would think that they would have accentuated tag teams to do the same. They're trying to with certain groups, but it's just, you know, it's not as believable.
I mean, a perfect candidate would have been, you know, the Pure Fusion Lesbians, but it seems like they're not even on Raw anymore. Like, they vanished.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, they put them back in the closet. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think that they, with the new women's tag, singles championship, secondary titles, low-key, I kind of hope that they just get rid of the tag team championships. Too many championships, not enough women. That would make the most.
Or not enough time to give the women emphasis on it.
Very true. And I mean, actually, you know, they did go to NXT. Never mind. Yeah, and
NXT is fucking stacked, and wait till they get to the roster. Watch, they're gonna put Julia and the Core as a tag,
and that's just waiting to make money.
I mean, I'm for it, but
yes. One thing we might not be for is WWE PLEs. Other than there was discussion about WWE PLEs other than WrestleMania and SummerSlam becoming 2 nights. So Backlash 2 nights, Royal Rumble 2 nights, Money in the Bank 2 nights. You know, and with tickets at $5,000 each, I mean, they just feel like we're made of fucking money. Like, fuck you, WWE. Like, this really feels like a cash grab, if I'm being honest, rather than, oh, well, the storylines. Oh, fuck you. You're making a lot of fucking money off our asses. And just to be, you know, not up the money-wise, WrestleMania being 2 nights is kind of low-key special. You know, it gives everybody an opportunity to be on the show. when every pay preview is 2 nights, it makes it less special. And then what? WrestleMania goes to 3 nights, and then 4 nights, and then it just no. Like we're watching WrestleMania for a week straight. Like we have lives. Like it's hard to watch 2 nights of WrestleMania to begin with. Am I wrong here?
Well, this is the problem. Remember when I told you that you're serving two masters? This is the problem. Because it's now all in house. So Netflix giving their money, they're like, we want this shit in return, homie. So now, in USA is like, yeah. Because keep in mind, they're aiming these PLEs, and we haven't even had the definitive, okay, are we still on, I mean, more likely we're still on Peacock till a certain time, right?
Right.
And then Netflix gets it, right?
Well, from what I hear, WWE's library, everything, that's WWE, is on Peacock. Netflix is only getting the modern stuff.
And that's where the issue is, because now they have to go 2 nights to appease it. Because keep in mind, you're asking the audience to try to watch it live on Netflix so that it could stay on, I mean, because it's confusing in the sense because SmackDown is still on fucking Peacock. I mean, SmackDown is still on USA, which by theory, it could still, the library is on Peacock.
Right. And I mean, Saturday night's main event later today is on Peacock.
On Peacock. So therefore the library is on Peacock. So hypothetically, what they're doing is the King Solomon. They're splitting the baby in half. That's why they're doing all these multiple titles, because then they could have their main show on Raw, the main Raw pay-per-view, and that portion of it, of the library can go straight to Netflix, and the SmackDown portion can go straight to Peacock. They're trying to please two masters at the same time. Because Peacock can actually say, motherfucker, why y'all doing all this on Netflix when we have your library and we still have the SmackDown portion of the library?
Right.
So that's why I said the whole problem I had with it was them serving two masters. That even when they got the Fox just wasn't a dick like that. But Netflix, who are they beholden to within the cable circle? They're kind of going off the grid, if you will.
Right. New territory.
So that's where that's coming from. It's the serving of two masters. A SmackDown, it's going to be a Raw night to where Netflix gets that part of the library. Then the SmackDown night to where they could technically show it on Netflix, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had us have night one on Raw, on Netflix, and night two on Peacock. I would not be surprised. Although that's fucking dumb. As hell, because you're asking your audience to watch the same show on two different channels.
Right.
So I'm thinking Fox and Peacock and Netflix are saying, okay, we'll let you air it on Netflix, but that library that is SmackDown belongs to us. Or they come up with a way that they can share it.
Well, let's maybe assume that only. Well, actually, no. They did say previews might be coming to Peacock. Okay, so this is definitely a wait and see process, but
A total wait and see.
I kind of feel like let's just remove the part where it's one night on Peacock, one night on Netflix, or PLEs on whatever streaming device. Just from an audience perspective, isn't it a lot to ask your audience to have a 2-night PLE every single month?
Well, it's like they're hearkening it back to when it was Raw and SmackDown pay-per-views, except instead of doing it alternating months or having, because it's no different than remember when they had the Ruthless Aggression, they would have a Raw and a SmackDown pay-per-view every month.
Right.
It's the same concept. They're just doing it on 2 nights, back to back.
I mean,
It's
and I completely understand, but I'm assuming that it'll be in the same place both nights. And
yeah, it would be. So you would just be. So it's essentially at this point, if you're a fan and you travel, you might as well ask them and see if they got a season ticket package, because that's like dead ass. Just give me the PLE and watch they take that and run with it. The PLE season ticket package.
I mean, seriously. Yeah.
1 year, same seats, no matter what arena. Okay.
No, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, the way things are going right now, WWE, I mean, their lowest tickets are maybe like $100, $150, and that's for like nosebleeds. You know, those original $25 seats. And then you have that $100, $150 times 2. That's $300 for one ticket. And, you know, primarily people go with their family. WWE is a family event. So 300 times 4 is, where am I? 300 is $1,200 just for tickets. And then you and I both know parking is not cheap. Parking is like another $100 at this point. And, you know, people want to eat and maybe have a drink. A beer is $20. T-shirts are $50.
A $50 T-shirt, 35 tops. But I mean, AEW, I've seen some 50 ones. Boy, they tripping. But
the last time I was on a WWE event, the T-shirts were $40, and that was in 2023. So last year.
Oh no, 2024. 2024. They're about 35.
So they went down? That doesn't sound right.
I mean, SummerSlam Cleveland, it wasn't $40. I don't recall spending $40 on a shirt.
I think they need to stay to 1-night PLEs for SummerSlam. I think you stretch it with SummerSlam making it 2 nights, but just kind of leave it to WrestleMania and SummerSlam. That's my opinion on the matter.
Well, true, I get it, but they're going to try to make it as a spectacle as it is, or make it a thing. It's kind of like, and I think that's where the UFC comes into play with it. It's that merger with UFC. They're trying to differentiate themselves.
Right. That will conclude our coverage of the news, and now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.